Three, two, one, go.
I assume you got it.
I got it.
All right. All right, here we go. Took a long break there.
Little
Uh,
hiatus.
yeah, my dad had surgery, so I was busy as hell. Didn't really have a chance to do anything else, but here we are, back again.
The, the man of the house.
But we missed a lot.
That happened. A lot always happens.
A lot. It seems like more happened like over this brief time that we took a break than like anything since we started.
Yeah.
Like especially in the realm of things that like we typically tend to talk about.
You know when's our last? It was before Christmas. Here's when I
Just
watched the dogs last.
just after Christmas. We did one the week before Christmas. Then we we've been on kind of a monthly schedule, more or less.
Yeah.
But we skipped the whole month of February.
Yeah.
Even though we said we were going to do it bi-weekly, we usually end up just doing it monthly.
There's just a lot going on with my apartment, getting my apartment taken care of, and you've had a lot. You've had a lot of work going on.
Yeah, I've been milking cows and all that kind of shit.
Milking cows.
But
I was breaking concrete the other day, so you know.
you ever see that I forgot what it was called, but it was like some sort of strongman competition. I think The Rock hosted it, and like one of the things we just had to break a giant fucking ball of concrete.
I've seen clips of that. I know what you're talking about.
But
It's not easy. It is not easy.
I've I've never
Those guys are animals.
I've never had to break concrete, thankfully.
It's
I
not too bad. Well,
I can
normal
barely
concrete's not
break
too
you off a
bad.
piece of a Kit Kat bar.
I know you fucking noodle arm. No, I had to use a jackhammer because it was ultra dense concrete. But we got it. It just took a while. It was good exercise. It reminds me why I chose not to do concrete. Even though it pays well. No, those guys are unsung heroes, man. You see those guys out there pouring concrete on the road? They're the MVPs.
But anyways, I assume you heard about this because this is one of the biggest things we missed. Akira Toriyama passed away,
Yeah,
like very unexpectedly.
yeah, that was rough.
So, um, he died of an acute subdural hematoma.
Okay, I hadn't looked looked into it since he passed away. I know that he died under strange circumstances, so you know more than I do on this department.
So, I had no idea what a acute subdural hematoma is, but if I
Yeah,
understand it correctly, it's kind of similar to an aneurysm in a
it's
way.
it's it's
And
a form of brain bleeding. Yeah,
yeah, and it causes a clot in the brain. So I mean, Akira Toriyama is and had always been a very private person. Like, despite being like one of the biggest mangakans of all time, there's not a lot on him. I mean, you can
hmm
even tell just by the pictures that people were sharing of him after it happened. There's not a lot of pictures of him. Like you were seeing like the same 5 or 6 pictures. So he
right,
was a very
right, yeah,
private person. So there's really not a lot out there. I mean, between so when they released a statement on March 7th. He had died a week before that. He died on March 1st. And so I wouldn't really call it a conspiracy theory, but there is a theory going around that something did happen to him, that he was probably involved in some sort of accident
Mm,
because um, his cause of death is oftentimes uh, onset by a head trauma.
yeah, it's not. It's like how like an embolism can happen at any time. Hematoma is most oftentimes blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the biggest things. Like getting hit in the head with a bat or something like that, right? Like that's
Hmm.
usually what causes it. Things like that.
Yeah, so since I haven't actually really seen anything, um, I've seen so obviously there are like things that I would call actual conspiracy theories. I've seen, COVID-19 vaccination and shit thrown out about it, but
Mm,
there hasn't really been any news about what happened around the time of his death. And like I said, he was a very private person, and his family was very private as well. They, in the statement put out by the official Dragon Ball page, they didn't want flowers or anything sent to them. So it's a very private matter, but so I don't know what happened, but the big theory surrounding it is that something did uh, cause this. Like it was onset by some sort of trauma.
yeah. I mean, I would believe it, but I would also think that maybe part of it being with private being a private them being very private individuals, if it was onset by an activity, like if somebody passes away doing an activity, like if a football player passes away, or a wrestler or somebody, you get that whole community to support that person. Like that's what they'll do. So they might not want to get details out because they just don't want they just want it to happen and move on.
Yeah.
They don't need a new foundation for you know jet ski safety or baseball safety. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
that might be it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's just like it happened. It's tragic. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it could be literally anything. I mean, it could have been
Yeah.
something as simple as he fell from a ladder.
For the yeah. We could have been hanging Christmas lights.
Yeah. It
Fell
could.
off a ladder.
Yeah. It literally could have been anything at all. But I, di-
Yeah.
as for now, I'm sure at some point there might be something like, oh, this, it's gonna come out maybe.
Yeah.
But
Well, it could have been really traumatic to his family too. He
right.
could have been like doing something for a family member and then he died, passed away,
Hmm.
and that's just traumatic. Like it's rough.
Yeah.
I can't imagine somebody doing like my grandpa, get up on a ladder doing something for me and then passing away from it. Like I can't even imagine.
Hmm.
So I mean that's there's some reason. I think you're right though. I think it'll there'll probably be more details in the future. In fact, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he was only 68 too.
yeah,
He's very. I mean, not very young, but I mean that's a pretty uh, young age to pass away at.
yeah. Well, especially healthy Japanese people live a very healthy culture, right? Like
Hmm.
Japan has the largest population of centennial individuals, I believe.
Right.
So I mean, it's you are right. It's kind of a sudden thing.
Yeah, and I don't think that I mean,
Sorry.
Toriyama specifically, I mean, his influence over the anime and manga industry as a whole really cannot be overstated. I
Right.
mean, so many people like um, I can't remember names, but like the author for One Piece and Bleach and like all of them came out and said, you know, if it weren't for Toriyama, I probably wouldn't have even started writing manga.
Yeah.
And Toyotaro, the new um, author for Dragon Ball Super, said like part of his whole reason for getting into the industry was he just wanted uh, to be recognized by Toriyama and appreciated by him.
Yeah.
But I and the, he's had a lot. Like Dragon Ball has been very active the past few years. I mean, 2013 we had Battle of Gods, 2015 Resurrection F, Dragon Ball Super following that. The Dragon Ball Super manga has been going on monthly for God, what, almost 10 years now, probably.
Mhm.
We've had the Broly movie, the latest superhero movie, and uh, coming this fall, we're supposed to get the new Sparking Zero game and Dragon Ball Daima, which is going to be Toriyama's last contribution. Toriyama worked very heavily on Daima, and I assume with where I haven't been following the production that much, but I'd have to assume that probably the writing for Dragon Ball Daima is basically done. So
Mhm.
I think all of that is going to be Toriyama for the most part, and that will be his final contribution to Dragon Ball. So after that, I guess it's just all up in the air. Depends on what Toei wants to
What's the
do and what Toyotaro wants to do with it.
the passing of the torch? You know, it's
Yeah, I am glad that, I
at the end of
mean,
the era.
you know,
I've noticed in the last 5-10 years, like especially growing up in the '90s. It's you see all these names, these people who created these great things, and they're starting to fade away. They're starting to like I said, pass the torch and new names, new faces, right? Like,
I think if there's any consolation for uh, the continuation of Toriyama's work, you know, this world that Toriyama created, he handpicked Toyotaro to
mhm.
continue Dragon Ball. So, I mean, there's been a lot of criticisms about Toyotaro, like how how good he is in comparison to Toriyama in terms of drawing and uh, storytelling and all that. But I mean, in the end, we do have to recognize that Akira Toriyama did handpick Toyotaro.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at where the Dragon Ball Super manga began to where it is now, I think that Toyotaro has definitely improved a lot over the years, and Toriyama was an incredible mentor to him, and I think he learned a lot from Toriyama, and of course, experience is the best teacher. So you know, just doing
Well,
this
that's
for the past almost decade now has really just helped take Toyotaro's work to a new level. Obviously, he's not
yeah.
on Toriyama's level yet. I mean, Toriyama's been doing this for a lifetime, but I think Toyotaro is. I think he's a good choice, personally.
I yeah, and that's how it goes. You pick your successor based on they're gonna outgrow you. That's the the unwritten, the unspoken thing in every teacher student relationship is you want them to do better than you did,
Hmm.
and you pass that idea down, through generations, and you get greatness, and then that's what you're seeing here, and it's really, I mean, I think it couldn't have. I think the continuation of his skill and knowledge is exactly how it should be. And by the time he picks someone to replace him, Totaro, like, he'll be even better, And it's
Hmm.
just how it goes. Your generations of experience add on top of each other.
Yeah. And a lot of people there have been a lot of praises for Toyotaro too. One that I've heard a little bit is that people like a bit more how Toyotaro handles Gohan's character as opposed to Toriyama, where, I mean, after Cell, Gohan just kind of fell off and it was always seemed like they were picking him up again to do something with him and then just
Mm-hmm.
kind of dropped off. But I've heard a lot of people saying that they like that Toyotaro is at least always trying to bring Gohan back and make him important to the story again. And
Mm-hmm.
the way the Dragon Ball Super manga is unfolding right now, it's been blowing up because of uh, the latest few chapters. I won't spoil anything, but they've been treating Gohan fairly well. So,
Right.
but I'm excited to see it's bittersweet seeing Toriyama's last contribution to Dragon Ball coming up with Dragon Ball Daima. So I'm excited to see it, but it's going to be sad that that's the last real contribution that Toriyama gave us. But I'm excited to see it, and I really hope that they do his legacy justice.
I think they will. I think it's gonna be good. I think we can look forward to the future with this one.
I mean, I fucking hate Toei Animation. I think Toei Animation is a dog shit company, and they kind of wipe their
Yeah.
ass with anything that Toyotaro puts out. But hopefully
Yeah, deal.
we'll get something with them.
You gotta deal with what you gotta deal with.
Yeah. I mean, as long as
Um.
there's more Dragon Ball content, and as long as they don't push it too far, like fucking Marvel or Star Wars, I I I think it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's one thing we gotta look out for too. Is like uh keeping it, like you said. I mean, it's beating the dead horse. I don't want that to happen.
Right. But as it stands right now, I don't think that's where Dragon Ball is headed, thankfully.
Well, I think Dragon Ball still has more development to do as well. There's more story to tell, and not just filler and backstory. There's still more story to tell,
Right.
which is good.
I mean, some of the final words of the Dragon Ball Super anime, I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, was like, "This is the story that's just never ending."
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good marketing right there,
Yeah.
and a good story, But
Yeah. So we'll see. There's a lot of
we'll see.
shit set up to happen. I mean, I don't know how much you know about how Dragon Ball Super was written, but there's two sides of it basically. There's Toyotaro and Toei Animation,
Hmm.
and both of them worked off of Akira Toriyama's notes. They took Toriyama's notes, interpreted how they did, and that's why the canon to Dragon Ball Super is a bit wishy-washy. There's differences there, but basically, the rule of thumb is if there's two things that are very similar, it's probably canon because that's what they would have ripped straight from Toriyama's notes. And I'm sure that before he passed, Toriyama had a plethora of notes still that they can draw from.
Hmm.
But so, anyways,
Well, I'd like to speak on. I don't know how much you know. Let me get a little bit of my knowledge on you. Are you familiar with Marcello Gandini?
no, maybe,
So, did you watch the new Wolf of Wall Street?
no.
Do you if
Wait, the
you
new Wolf of Wall Street? Are you referring to the
yeah, the
2013
new
one?
one. Yeah.
No, I've had that on
So,
my list for a while.
Marcello Gandini is an automobile designer. A visionary in a lot of ways. Uh, he designed so
Italian?
all modern supercars echo his design. You know how the supercar has that low,
Hmm.
swept back, smooth design, right? Like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, the Ford GT, the Hennessy's, like they all look different, but they all have like kind of the same shape.
You know a supercar when you see
He
it.
yeah, he's the father of that design,
Oh, okay.
and he's designed a lot of cars, like, too many to count. But the spirit of what he built when he designed. So the reason I bring up the Wolf of Wall Street is Lamborghini Countach is that white Lamborghini that what's his face had.
Hmm.
Um, and it was the original design that Marcello Giannini designed. But um, yeah, he passed away. He was 85 this year. He passed away in March,
Hmm.
early March. But
I hear that.
his legacy is seen um, pretty much in every modern supercar you see today. Every rear mid engine, rear wheel drive sports car. That's him. That's his thing.
Huh.
Uh, he designed several concepts. He wasn't really he designed for a lot of companies. He wasn't really a Lamborghini guy. He wasn't really a Ferrari guy. He wasn't an Opel guy. He was an automobile designer, and he kind of took a back seat to a lot of other names in a lot of other companies. But
So how does that work in the sense of like they all use his design? Does he himself have some sort of patent on it?
okay, if you look up the Lamborghini Countach, there are two designers listed. The prototype was Marcello Gandini. The production model. So
Oh.
if you got one of these cars, the car was designed by Paolo Stangini. He's another guy who worked for Lamborghini, who's really really awesome. Um, he passed away too. Oh man, he passed away years ago. But he was another guy. He was more of a production guy. So you see Stangini's name on a lot of designs, a lot of production models, a lot of things like that. But um, Gandini was the visionary behind a lot of his designs.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't the guy who put his name on it to make the car.
Uh,
He designed a lot.
was he still working? Like, d
Yeah, yeah.
were his designs still being used?
Oh yeah. And it's kind of like how an artist. There are several artists who don't write their own songs,
Hmm.
and you know that, but it's still the artist's song, right?
Yeah.
It's Lamborghini's car, but it's Gandini's
Design.
brilliance. Yeah,
Okay.
but he passed away this year, and that was kind of a. I mean, he was instrumental in The whole scissor door idea, that was his idea.
Hmm.
The wedge shaped car. I mean, that was every like I said, every modern supercar kind of echoes his original designs.
Huh. I did not
So,
know any of that at all. Huh.
and that's why they kind of all look the same now that you think about it, right? Like
Yeah.
when you see a supercar, you know you see a supercar.
hmm
Um, it's kind of a don't fix what ain't broke.
So how did he actually work though? Did he like have these designs and then sell them to like Lamborghini, Ferrari, all that kind of stuff?
He worked in conjunction with their teams. Um, he wasn't. I mean, you had the room of engineers that built the models, that designed the stuff, and ran all the numbers. And then you have the guys that sent it to the people who built it, and he was in that back room that designed these things, but he
Hmm.
wasn't part of the production really.
Right. Okay.
And he moved to several companies, but he started his most recognizable design is the Lamborghini Countach, which is the original kind of kind of boxy, almost looking Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Had like all the jagged lines.
hmm
Um, that was that was his. He was a car designer. He wasn't, you know, like I said, he wasn't a Lamborghini man. He wasn't a BMW man. He wasn't a, you know, he designed cars.
Huh. I never knew that.
But looking at some of the big models, old Maseratis. I mean, it's funny because I'm looking at a list of designs he made, and they all kind of look this.
Yeah.
A lot of supercars all look the same.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you know. Um, he did help design the BMW 5 Series, which is the 1970s BMWs. Um,
How old was he?
but he's 85.
Oh.
He passed away.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's another guy. A lot of people didn't kind of flew under the radar. Not a lot of people really know him for what he did, but I mean that also just to show you that so many moving parts go into these things.
Yeah, that sometimes the most important people are horribly underappreciated.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean you know it's just like I mean Ford versus Ferrari made it famous, but the GT40 uh Ken no one knew who Ken Miles was really, but he was the guy who built that car.
hmm
He built he was not an engineer, he was not a car designer, he wasn't anything, but he's the guy who built that car.
It's also
Uh,
kind of how like greatness is oftentimes attributed to the brand itself as opposed to the creator of it.
yes, absolutely, absolutely,
Like
and that's how you get the
like
downfalls of
movie
like,
composers, like you look at Star Wars and you're like, wow, what a great soundtrack. You know, Star Wars has a great soundtrack. Not John Williams made a great
yeah,
soundtrack for Star Wars.
yeah.
That's not the
I just
greatest
lost in
example,
the.
but
Well, yeah, but that's an important way to describe it. That's a good way to describe it. Um, and it also attributes to the fact that like people who have brand loyalty can often get upset with quality. Like quality changes, right?
right.
People change. Um, so
Well, also
based on I watched a documentary on.
that
So,
also can be an issue of the brand too, though. Like, you know, they'll
yeah,
be like, oh, you know, this has gone downhill, but it's not the person who originally designed it is the issue. Like,
yeah,
a lot of TV shows are like that. You know, the writers and producers come and go, and then the show isn't the same as it once was. You know, look behind the scenes, well, all the people who made the show great aren't working on it anymore.
yeah. It's a way of things. It's how things change over the years.
So, yeah,
I mean, it's just like
damn.
what we were talking about. It's the passing of a torch,
hmm
you know. But little car trivia, little different kind of trivia. Branch out a little bit.
Yeah, I did not. I didn't know any of that at all. Um, all right, ready for our regular video game discourse?
Yeah. This is where, yeah.
Right, ready to get pissed again?
Uh, yeah, I mean, just yeah,
You know where it's going. You know exactly what I'm going to talk about, don't you?
yeah. You're probably better talking about it than I am.
So, a series very near and dear to my heart. EA just took it and wiped their ass with it.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. No one saw that coming that bad. I don't.
I don't know. Dude, okay. So, we'll start from the start. About a month ago, EA announced that they were releasing the original two classic Battlefront games,
Mhm.
remastered with new content. It sounded like everything was going to be fine, but my God, I do not know how they fucked it up as bad as they did. I feel like somebody like there was someone who had some sort of pent up aggression or something. Like they had like a .01 KD ratio when they used to play online,
Wait.
and they're
Sorry.
like, I'm a fuck over the whole fan base. Like it almost seems like they fucked it on purpose. Jesus, Jesus Christ, is one of the dogs getting angry about it too?
No, I had ordered dinner, and they are. Yeah, you know what? They're probably angry about it. If you ask me. Hey, calm down. Um, yeah, it's almost like something. There's no way you could accidentally do this, right?
I know.
Stop, guys. He's gone. They're gone. The people are gone. They're no longer here. That's why small suburban dogs. But yeah, so for interrupting, yeah, it's almost like you can't accidentally make this happen. Like it's there has to be some sort of malice in here somewhere, like or gross negligence,
So,
right? Like
all right. The first and most apparent problem was for the PC release, there were three fucking servers. 64 player lobbies that boils down to just somewhere around, I don't feel like doing the math, but somewhere around 200 players. There were
right.
10,000 people playing on release. The second that bitch dropped, 10,000 people were on it. You cannot tell me that they did not expect that only 200 people would be playing the game at a time. So the only way I can give that a little bit of giving them an inch is maybe they thought it
Mm-hmm.
would be like a fad where people would play for like a week or two and then it would just kind of die out and there would only be a few people playing in these lobbies. But
A few of the hardcore fans.
that is no excuse for releasing it with three servers. If the servers aren't being used, fine, whatever. Fucking shut them down for all I care. But to release it with three,
It's like I said. To me, it kind of stinks of gross negligence.
and then
Like there's no way.
there are just cutscenes that are completely missing from Battlefront 2. They're just cutscenes that straight up just aren't fucking there. Like how you've had 20 years to perfect this game that didn't have any issues and you fucked it up terribly. then
And it's like it's just a remaster. It's not even a new game.
if you somehow manage to get into a lobby, the lag was so fucking bad. You could fucking snipe someone from across the map and they just teleport somewhere else. Because every fucking lobby was bad. There were textures that weren't loading in. And this is the thing that baffles me the most. Do you know how big it was? The
The
original
game,
two games combined, or I think a little less than 5 gigabytes. Take a shot in the
makes sense.
dark how big this one was based on that metric.
I'm gonna go with 20.
70. Over 70 gigabytes.
What?
Like, what the fuck did EA do? Like, install malware on everyone's computer that downloaded it? Like, where is all this shit coming from? Where does 65
What?
plus gigabytes come from?
How does that even happen?
I don't know.
Like that doesn't make any sense.
It it doesn't. I looked at this. I thought they're giving you two games that are huge classics. They're adding content, and it's $35. I was like, maybe the price tag is a bit high, but I mean, compared to like, how much you and I shit on the Red Dead Redemption port being $50 and all
Yeah.
that kind of shit. I mean, personally, I think 35 is fair. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's so to put that in comparison, it's as big as Final Fantasy 14.
God, really?
Final Fantasy 14 75 gigs.
Fuck me.
I don't know what they did. You're right. I can't imagine what they did.
I there's just nothing good. Like
How here's I want to segue into something about this too. We have these games that have come out. What was it? What was it? Quadruple A games like fucking Skull and Bones, right? Um, that are these been under development for a long time. They've they've been worked on by these giant studios, man. And then you get games that are developed by like four dudes. The game comes out, it's amazing. It's the greatest thing in the world.
I think
Costs like
there
20 bucks.
I think there are a
Like
few games right now that really define the industry. And they're on like opposite ends of the spectrum. You have like Battlefront remastered, Dragon's Dogma 2, which is utterly unplayable,
oh,
Skull and Bones, but then you have Helldivers 2
Hell Divers.
and Lethal Company.
Yeah, and Lethal Company's like nothing. It's just a little indie game that
Right.
is
These
just amazing.
these massive fucking, you know, quadruple A games as they're calling them now are fucking atrocious and they have shit like $75 price tags or they're remasters that don't even work. Suicide Squad is another perfect example. Been under
I've heard
development
Suicide Squad
for
is bad.
9 years and it's a piece of shit. But then Helldivers 2 and Lethal Company, very low price tag, but they're amazing games and some of the best selling games on Steam and have won awards. And I really think that the industry is shifting towards these lower priced games that actually offer you something as opposed to these fucking massive games done by massive companies that don't have shit.
And and this is the thing and I think other people will agree. I'm not opposed to paying 70 bucks for a game if I get a game worth 70 bucks. Like, because you get what you pay for is always been a moniker in life, right? But nowadays, you don't get what you pay for.
One
I don't know.
one of the things that's been really wrestling my jimmies lately too and it is one of the biggest problems with Battlefront, is the fucking size of games. Every Call of Duty game
Yeah,
is over 100 gigabytes. I think Cold War I had like everything for it and it was almost 200 gigabytes. Where the
and they're
fuck is
so
all this shit
unoptimized.
coming?
They're so unoptimized. Like
Like
you load up Call of Duty now, like hangs up. It's like
it's like
clunky to load, navigate.
it's like
I don't even understand.
it's like every little unused asset is still in the files.
I know.
In addition to every Call of Duty game before it. Like, yeah, we'll just throw World at War in there and see what happens.
Well,
You
like
can't play it, you can't access it, but it's in the file. Like,
yeah,
like seriously, where is this shit coming from? Like, what is it?
yeah, it makes no sense. Like
I mean, if the industry continues in this way, I am hopeful for it in the sense that you know games like Helldivers and Lethal Company and and any other indie game really starts to get recognition, and that's where things go from here.
yeah,
Is they go to the projects that are still labors of love and you know have developers who care about them and there's a lot of passion behind them and they have a lower price tag as opposed to Skull and Bones, which is a 70 gig game or a $70
they're
game
going in.
that's already dead because Ubisoft just shit on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to me that these developers can think these are okay games to release.
Yeah, like where is the fucking quality control in all of
I,
this?
I don't know how.
Like it's
Like I would
just
be ashamed to put my name on Skull and Bones.
right.
Like
It's fucking career suicide. Like why? Like the worst PR you can have is releasing a shitty product, but they're doing it anyways. I mean,
well, you know,
I think a small part of it is complacency too. Like they're
here's the
just like
thing.
I think they know that people will buy games that they put out, so I think it's like we're just complacent with whatever we put out because people will buy it.
Yeah, here's the thing that may echo that. To segue a little bit off topic. You know, I am a blue collar guy by trade. Um, have you ever seen TikTok videos or any kind of videos of like new housing constructions and new things that they built that are just have no quality control?
Uh, I mean,
Have you seen some of those like those inspection videos where they're like they'll look at like roof joists and there'll just be a bunch of nails put in. There's no plates. There's no nothing. And installation's all jacked up. There's gaps under the floor. Like
yeah, I've seen like the ones that are like what's the term? Like quantity over quality. Like it looks like a
yeah,
nice $1 billion house, but it's like
like there's ones where they're all the same, or but they're a little bit different, and they build them in the big rows and stuff.
yeah, but
So
they're just like absolute shit. Like the design is
it
not
is
conducive to anything.
it's strange. Like Dad used to build houses like those. Call them track houses. Track houses is what they call them. Dad used to build those in the '90s, '80s and '90s, and it was totally different back then. But I think what we'll run into is, like you said, complacency starting to be a thing. People will buy it, right? People will buy these things, these products, and I think that that mentality is not just in the video game industry. I think it's in a lot of things nowadays.
Hmm. Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen it
like
in the automobile industry. I've seen it in the housing industry. I've seen it in just products,
uh,
right? Like you
uh,
go to a hardware store.
like I just mentioned Star Wars and Marvel not that long ago. Like they're putting
Yeah,
out absolute shit because they know people will consume it.
yeah.
So, but it's still I
But I don't. But it comes back to it. I don't know how you can put your name on that. Like a house, a car, or a video game. Like how I just don't understand how they.
Have you
I don't know.
noticed?
It
Have you noticed
strikes
a
me.
common trend with all this shit too? Is like a lot of times they'll blame the consumer.
Yeah.
They'll be
Oh,
like,
that's what they did with You know what they did with Skull and Bones? Was it Skull and Bones that was really bad about that?
maybe. Well, I know
They did it.
with Battlefront they did something about it. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, if you don't like it, that's your problem.
Yeah.
With was it what was the Marvel show that released not long ago with Amelia Clark and it was like all the things from Captain Marvel? Was it
Uh
Secret
the
Invasion or something like that?
yeah, Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I think it
What
was
is
the producer of that was like, yeah, it's not my job to make fans happy. If you don't like it, fuck off. And
yeah, and
I
that's
think
the
the producer of
wrong attitude.
Thor Love and Thunder like even said like, yeah, I did this to piss off fans.
Like why is that a thing? Like that's and here's another thing too is like okay, that's the person doing that. The community should ostracize that person too, right? Like you got a group of 20 people who make a product and one person's being an asshole about it. Where are all the other people coming in and being like, hey, look, this is not how any of this works, right? Like, there's
Well,
none of that anymore.
you're not gonna get that because I mean, if you're looking at it from the point of like another employee speaking up, the second they open their mouth, they're getting fired, and they'll replace them in a day.
That's true.
So I mean, like other people who worked on the project aren't going to say anything because they'll be booted immediately.
That's true.
I mean, even the underlings and all this, like a big thing about movies lately has been that the CGI is terrible, and a big part of that is that it's not that those people are the ones that have the passion for the project, but they're just so overworked on such time crunches that they can't make shit look good.
Yeah. We're also starting into an era of, I don't want to get into this, but we're getting into an era of genuinely where you pay your people the least to work on a product. Right? Like, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's that modern capitalism is you want the best for the least amount. And I
Hmm.
think I think that's another contributing factor. I mean, look at the actor strike. Like, we've seen repercussions and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I think that some of these studios are probably doing that too. There's some of the jobs that they're offering, and they're not lucrative. Like, even if you're passionate about, like if I went to go work for Blizzard, and they're like, you could do something with World of Warcraft, I'd be like enthused beyond belief, right? It'd be my dream job. But if the environment isn't great and the it's not conducive to like my
Oh,
lifestyle, right? Like
Activision
I wouldn't
Blizzard,
put in
what do
the
you
effort.
mean? What a
I,
selfless company. They've never done
what a
anything wrong.
selfless company. Get the well, you can't even joke about it, man. It's like saying EA will one day put out a finished product.
Yeah,
I I think
I think a
I think
lot of that is
there's
right.
other
And
factors,
there's
but
also the shit too. It's like every fucking job wants a goddamn master's degree, but then wants to pay you minimum wage for it.
yeah, there's a job at our company that wants an engineer with a master's degree and like 2 years of experience, and they're offering 25 to 35 an hour for it, and we all just laughed. I'm like, good luck finding that person.
Yeah,
I don't. Maybe double that number and you'll get somebody, right? Like, but
maybe give them something they can pay off their student debt with that they
yeah,
after they spent all that money on their master's degree.
Jesus, yeah. But I mean that position's been up there for about a year now.
Hmm.
They haven't had anybody really go anybody serious look into it. And I'm like, you gotta. It's like they don't see the writing on the wall, you know. And I'm like, I've talked to some of these people. Like I've talked to the HR ladies at our company. I've talked to the people who are hiring for these positions, and I'm like, you know, part of the problem is a lot of them are older, but not all of them. But I'm like, none of these people want to bust their asses for that. Like,
Hmm.
you gotta pay for quality. You gotta pay for people they're gonna do well.
Right.
But it's just getting to the point where we want to pay people the least.
Yeah, and expect them to shit out masterpieces.
You know.
All right.
Sorry, that's a rant. I can
We
get on that rant for a long time. I
we
feel very strongly about that.
so all right. We covered a few big things that happened, but we still gotta cover one last thing.
One last thing.
The TikTok bill.
Oh my God, I don't know how. I was thinking about that earlier when I mentioned uh, housing inspectors on TikTok.
So
Let me make sure. Let me make sure I got good details
yeah,
on this.
get Fox News, CNN, Newsmax, NBC,
I'm a CNN.
get all of
I'm a
it.
I'm
Get
a
all of it.
I'm a communist news network man. So grandma used to call it.
So basically, the bare bones of it is, they're going on about TikTok again, and uh, we're kind of at a point where TikTok is closer to realistically being banned in the US than ever before. Or the potential for it being banned is closer than ever
Right,
before.
right. What do you think? What do you think? Like, imagine it in today's society. The one thing Congress agrees on, right? It's not human rights. It's not gender equality. It's not any of these things that are big ticket items, right? That are very important to our society. It's
TikTok.
ban TikTok, and I'm like, you gotta be, you gotta be stupid. And the reason is they're like, oh well, the Chinese can use it to spy on us, and I'm
The
like,
Chinese already
there's a
spy on
man named
us.
Edward Snowden that just invalidated everything you ever said in that statement. But like, that's not how anything works. Like, I don't. I can't wrap as a rational human who understands how technology works. I can't understand how this is a thing. Like, right? Like how anyone can come to this conclusion. It's fake to me. Like it's this is what conspiracies are made out of, right? Like,
I think my biggest problem with if TikTok was banned, and it's something that I hadn't really thought of before, is there's a lot of people who depend on TikTok now. Like there are a lot of people who have jobs basically just making TikToks. And that is a scary idea to think that all of your income can be taken away immediately just like that.
well, there's another thing with TikTok too, and that is that TikTok is the current best tool to see unbiased moments in news about the world, right? You can get on TikTok and see the Russian war against Ukraine from an unbiased view, and you can't do that with any other media platform, right? You can get on there and you can see people. When COVID was a thing, they had prisoners. They got COVID that were making videos like asking for help through TikTok because no other outlet was available for them to do that. Right? TikTok is it's I personally think I read other things that echo this. It's the freest form of media we have right now. and you know that's good and bad. But
Yeah, an issue
I
that I've
think,
been seeing, go on the Instagram subreddit right now, and basically every single post is about how somebody commented something that wasn't harmful in any way, and TikTok took that down. And I think a big part of it is attributed to the fact that they're using AI to patrol Instagram right now.
yeah,
But I don't think TikTok's as bad as Instagram in that sense. I mean, TikTok still is strict. I mean, you know, you've heard unalive, like no one, you can't say died or anything like that. But
hmm
I think TikTok is better than currently at this point YouTube,
oh
Instagram,
yeah.
any of that.
I I see this. I see the big thing though. They talk about it being a Chinese company. They talk about it linking to directly to the CCCP, and maybe right, but
CCP. CCCP
CC,
is,
CCP. Oh, that's Russia.
yeah.
To me, she's um, they linking back to the Communist Party. But I mean, maybe like that's how China's run. China's run kind of like you know, no one has any rights in China. But
Well, I mean,
to say that it
Chinese
is,
TikTok is leaks different than what we have
oh
here.
yeah, dude, Chinese internet like is so censored, it's insane. Uh, but you know, to say it's a huge security breach, it's a huge like potential security issue is like you're just throwing words out. It's not how anything works.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's it can be hacked like anything else. The only thing is, you know, I don't know what's the Chinese government going to do they haven't already done to me as a veteran, right? They've already probably taken my identity.
Hmm.
You know, they've already probably know everything about me. Like
Yeah, that's my whole thing is, you know,
what could they?
what is the Chinese government can do with my information? Now, I fully support banning TikTok on government devices.
Oh, 100
If
percent.
you
Yeah.
have if you have a government device and you have TikTok installed on it, like what the fuck are you doing with your
Well,
life? Like there
well.
is
See, there's
no
there's
reason for that.
to give you a little background of that. There's two kind of separate systems for that. Um, there's directly managed government devices, which are unclassed and secret like internets, and then there's a phone the government issues you to do business, or a computer the government issues you to do business, right? Like TikTok, TikTok, any app you install is already pretty much you shouldn't be using on any government computer, right? Like that's already a thing.
Right.
But on a government device that you own, like say it's like when a company uses your company phone. You know, it's pretty much your phone, but you use it for work. That's
Mhm.
where that's where I think that's where you're talking about, and that's I agree with that as well. You
Right.
shouldn't, you know, because it could be a security risk for information, but
Hmm.
so could a lot of things. It's not to say you ban the app just based on that. I mean, the Alibaba freaking market app does the same thing.
Right,
Like
right, right. Everything you fucking
it's
buy on goddamn Temu goes back to the
oh
CCP.
yeah, Timu's horrible. Timu's like
Temu's the
really bad.
worst.
And you know what we haven't heard anything about? Timu.
Exactly. And their ads are still blasted all over fucking YouTube, and nope,
Yeah.
no one gives a fuck about Temu.
It's literally come out. Timu sells your data, like just black and white.
It's not even
And
like it came out like this top secret investigation. Temu's like, yeah, we sell your data.
yeah,
We're, we're not gonna lie about it.
like yeah,
If you use our app, that's your fault.
but like I that's why I think with TikTok, it's TikTok is a medium to which the government cannot control,
Hmm.
and I think that is the reason for this because YouTube is quote unquote free, right? Controlled by it's owned by Google. The government can storm Google if they need to.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think another
I,
issue is, I mean, when you think of anyone in the government, a congressperson, what do you immediately think of? An old white
If they're old,
person.
an old white person, yeah,
So I think a big part of
fucking
that,
Mitch McConnell.
exactly. Even not even that, even our fucking President Joe Biden, he falls
Yeah,
into that even. They all fall into that. And I think
they're
they are threatened by TikTok because younger leaders are using it as a platform to promote their own campaigns, and even just random ass people are using it to promote ideas that they don't agree with. And I think a big part of it is they're threatened by that. They're threatened by something that they don't understand and threatened by something that can potentially give them less power.
Yeah, I agree. I social media is the wave of the future. Nobody goes to rallies anymore. Nobody goes
Hmm.
to these functions. You know, 100,000 people get to learn on get to learn on TikTok, or YouTube, or Facebook, or anything, right? And they see it, and that's their news. That's what they see to the world, right? Like, uh, TV news is a relic.
Hmm.
Like, it's not what people are looking at anymore. Well, heck, I saw Biden's State of the Union on TikTok. That's how I watched State of the Union.
Hmm.
And it was really good. Like, I liked it, but like, kind of thing. But like, TikTok, right? Like, I want to watch it on YouTube. I want to go out to see that. I saw a snippet of it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And so I watched the whole thing. It was interesting, but like,
RFK has been mostly running his entire campaign on TikTok.
yeah, yeah,
Or not
but
TikTok,
yeah,
social media in general, I mean.
social media in general, social media, not TikTok. But I think you're right. Like, it's something that people don't understand. People don't, and I mean, think about it. You think about if you grew up in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and all of a sudden today, some kid can say one thing and it reaches 400,000 people at the click of a button. Like that's there's no way. Like think about how hard that'd be to fathom.
Yeah. And that's why it's scary, is because it's such a big thing that they don't understand. And I mean, try to teach old people anything about fucking computers. They don't even want to learn it.
Uh,
So, there's the fact that they
it's like
don't know and also don't want to learn. They are blissfully ignorant about it, but being blissfully ignorant is more dangerous than the thing that they're trying to control.
yeah,
So that's where the issue comes in.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's like telling someone, oh, you have to have an email address for this. They're like, why? So well, that's how things are nowadays.
So what do you think? Do you think this has potential to actually go through? Do you think that we could actually lose
I
TikTok?
I think that this is the closest you said it yourself. This is the closest you've ever been to getting it banned. I think that God, I would have said no before I went to the house. Like, honest to God, I would have laughed. I would have been like, oh, it's more TikTok ban talk, whatever. But like to see the bill pass the House, I'm like staggered. I'm shocked.
Yeah, unanimously.
I can't. I'm like Congress has got to be smarter than these guys. Like,
We'll see.
it's got to get caught at Congress. Like, there's no way.
I mean,
There's
if
no
it gets
way.
banned in the U.S., well, do you know the wording of the bill? Because as I understand it, you would still be able to download it, but it's illegal to have on app stores, is how I understand it.
Yeah, no one can have an app store. Now there is a thing where if it's owned by an American company, it's fine. And there's been a lot of talk about people trying to buy it.
So, I mean, if this goes through, I mean, VPNs are going to go through the roof, and
Well,
everyone is
well, have
going
you
to be
seen?
living in Canada.
Have you heard about Texas? The VPN use in Texas
Are you talking about?
has
Are you talking about
gone.
Project Texas?
No, to the state of Texas. Pornhub left Texas.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I did see that, and like fucking VPN downloads skyrocketed.
Yeah,
The same thing happened in Utah. Once they
yeah,
down, once they banned Pornhub, freaking downloads of VPN went through the roof. Yeah, people don't like when you take their porn away.
yeah. Apparently, so according to a report from Atlas VPN, which I do not use, it's a different one. VPN use skyrocketed by 10,000%.
Whew, man,
I use NordVPN, which I would endorse. Um,
I use ExpressVPN, which is getting worse.
eh, oh, everybody's got their own. Um, but yeah, that's just. I mean, that's just what's gonna happen.
Hmm.
They're gonna find ways to install it on their phone and stuff, and like everything nowadays, except Apple is open source. Technically, even Windows, you can install things on Windows. It's
Right.
technically not allowed to be installed. So we're all just like bring it and let you know.
Yeah,
But
it's just concerning. I honestly, if they aside from things that have protections like you know region locks and things that you can't access on Netflix in certain countries, have we ever successfully banned an app in
no,
this capacity?
no, not one that's popular. And I think it comes back. Like I said, I think it comes back down to TikTok is a media that the government can't control. So they're trying to find their only way to control it, and this is might be the only way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, TikTok. I a lot of the news I get, I see firsthand on TikTok, and then I'm like, oh, let me look this up.
Hmm.
You know, when Marcelo Gandini died, I saw it that day on TikTok, and then I went and looked it up, and I did my stuff right. Like it's a tool. I mean, I'm not gonna take TikTok at face value, not all the time, but it's a tool to use, and it's a very good tool to use.
Hmm.
Um, because I mean, you go to Reddit, you see a bunch of junk, right? You go to Facebook, you see a bunch of junk. You go to TikTok, you see things that are genuinely interesting for you. Right? Like I see housing inspectors on there. I
Oh,
see welders.
don't you
I see
shit on
tech.
Reddit, not you.
I just lie. I love Reddit. Reddit's my shit. Um, but like you go to TikTok, you see like I said, I see building inspectors. I see guys who talk about finance. I see.
Furry
Then
porn.
those are alongside. Those are alongside. Yeah. So it's not 100%. It's mixed, but you see important things alongside the funny things,
Yeah.
and we don't have another avenue for that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. If you asked me a month ago, I would have said no. There's no chance, but I think we're kind of teetering on a fence. I don't think it's going to happen.
I
I
don't. I can't. I
I
don't think it'll.
I can say with almost certainty that it won't happen, but it's scary that it's made it this far because there's always the question of what's next.
Yeah. It's strange that this is like I said, this is the thing this is the thing the House agrees on. Out of
Hmm.
everything, I'm like, there's so many more important things,
Right.
and you're hung up on TikTok. Like what? It just it lowers my confidence in this country quite a bit. Well, in this administration, quite a bit to see things
How
like
do you have
this.
any confidence to begin with? I've never trusted the government.
Yeah,
You're from Kansas. You
yeah, it's
can't
kind of
tell me you
ingrained
like
into
the
my.
government.
I mean, the thing is with the U.S. government, you kind of know what you're getting to in a lot of ways. Right? I'm
Hmm.
not gonna pretend to know everything, but I know what they're gonna. I know some of the dumb shit they're gonna do. Right? We all know about eminent domain. We all know about like what the government wants, the government gets. We all know about how everything can be thrown in your face is potential terrorist act, right? You kind of know what you're getting with a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I'm not saying it's any good stuff, but you kind of know what you're getting. They're pretty good at choreographing a lot of the dumb stuff they do.
Yeah. I guess it remains to be seen. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks and there really hasn't been any developments on it. It's still kind of where it was.
Do we know when Congress is voting on it?
I don't fucking know.
I think I tried to look that up before the other day, and I didn't really get anywhere.
I mean, if they have another hearing, it's going to be just as bad as the last one. Does TikTok connect to Wi-Fi, all of that shit. They're not going to have anyone who knows what they're talking about delegating any of these questions. So,
Yeah, or it goes to the Senate next. The House passed it, goes to the Senate next. My bad. I kept saying
yeah,
Congress.
yeah, you're right, Senate.
Uh, yeah, there's no way it'll clear the Senate. There's no way. There's no way.
I'd have to think it wouldn't, but who knows? I mean, the way I think about it too is, I mean, the House is a lot bigger than the Senate. You would think that there would have been at least one person who would have voted against it, but there wasn't.
Yeah.
So who knows where this stands right now? It could be anything really. I mean, with a pool that big, you'd have to think one person would have voted against it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
So
We'll
who
see.
knows where the Senate stands?
I feel like it'll go to the Senate and it'll fizzle out. I feel like it'll go to the Senate and it'll go nowhere after that.
Well, after that, go straight to the
Like it won't.
president.
Like they won't pass it. They won't. They won't. They won't agree on it. It'll sit there in litigation forever, and like that's what I'm kind of predicting. But I don't know.
They're probably gonna do a fucking government shutdown over it. Well, we can't decide what to do
Oh
with
yeah.
this app. Let's just screw
I'll just
everyone
shut down the
over for a
government for a
few
little bit.
weeks. You're paid by the government? Not anymore.
That was the worst thing in the military. Was like, well, all our pay was allotted prior to, so like we never didn't get paid. But like some of the civilians were laid off essentially.
Yeah.
They were stuck at home working without. They were stuck at home without pay.
hmm
So like
Yeah,
all your admin stuff and none of that shit moved.
government shutdowns are always just because people feel like fucking and whining in the government, and we're the ones who pay the price for it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we've been spewing shit for a while, so we should probably wrap up here.
Yeah, it's starting to get to be dinner time for me.
Yep.
It's yeah. There's always more to talk about. We'll
Yeah.
keep an ear to the ground for some of these things. I still haven't been much on. I want to get some more knowledge about the AI and the stuff going on around it. But there's just so much
Yeah, you every fucking
in that
episode we
world.
do, you just blue ball me. You're like, yep, we'll talk about it next time.
It's just something changes every time.
And
But
we can touch on
mm,
this really quick.
mm,
Have you seen? Probably not. Have you seen Wish yet? I don't think we
Wish?
talked about this. The Disney movie, like the big 100th anniversary Disney movie that was absolute dog shit.
No.
So there's a theory going out that because a majority of this would have had to have been written during the writer's strike, that it was written by AI.
Oh.
I was wondering that. I don't think there's any actual evidence to show that, but I have been. I've been kind of curious about it. I'm waiting till I see Wish, and Wish won't fucking come out on Disney Plus. I think just because Disney is so fucking embarrassed about it.
So here's the thing about AI that so there's different levels of how you use this tool, right? Think of AI as a giant tool. I can put a prompt into ChatGPT and have it create me a fucking story, right? And call it a day. I can put a prompt into ChatGPT, have it create me 7 or 8 paragraphs or something that then make me go on a tangent, and I write a book based on this idea, right?
Hmm.
Now, the big argument is, are those two items different? And how different are they, right? How much of it's your idea, and how much of it is something that a computer generated for you?
Yeah, yeah, that's been a big
Um,
argument for a while. You know, is it?
because I always consider the same as like, say you're doing an essay on kangaroos, right? And it's in the 90s, so all you have is encyclopedias. Everybody's got the same encyclopedia. Everybody's got the same AOL thing they can go to look it up online, right? And then they're like, well, just write it in your own words. How different is that from having something create a prompt for you and then you rewriting it in your own words, right?
So the
Like
general,
how
the general,
where is this line? You know?
the general consensus I hear for that is it's the difference between, like you said, rewriting someone's words and plagiarism. So the
Hmm.
ethical standpoint is using AI for ideas. Most people agree is fine. Just copying and pasting what you find in ChatGPT isn't.
Right. I agree with that. That's how I stand on it. But I've
Oh,
seen some people who are very hard line.
also, I guess I'll mention this quick. Have you seen that ChatGPT is apparently getting dumber?
I've read some stuff about that
Because apparently, like, where is Chat?
because they're limiting what it can use and stuff.
Oh, see, the reason I heard it's getting dumber is the opposite reason. Because it
Oh,
pulls
because
all of its information online. So now ChatGPT is getting to the point where it doesn't know what the fuck is fact and fiction.
that makes sense
It's
too.
just pulling all of its shit from unreliable sources now.
That's like people say AI is gonna take over the world. I'm like, have you seen what we've written about the world? Like,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna know where to start.
Yeah, but also look at where we are compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We won't be saying if you told me that AI could write a full story that is actually half decent, I wouldn't have believed you.
Oh my god. I mean, I didn't use it. One of the guys. You played Helldivers with Andrew, I think, right?
Hmm.
So he did it for a Shadowrun story, a Shadowrun character backstory. He was like, told you ChatGPT, you write him a story about a guy. He looks like this. You give him all the prompts, right? Like he essentially wrote a short paragraph about for a prompt. And he's like, give me a story based on this, and it just spit out like pretty good story.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie, it was decent.
Yeah. So it remains to be seen where that kind of shit's gonna go. I mean, I guess it's kind of in the space of, it's taking steps forward and backwards. So we'll see where it goes. I don't think it's going to continue to get dumber. I think it's going to be like the Wikipedia thing where they're going to start to monitor it a bit more and make sure that it's pulling its information from more reliable sources. But that was just something that I've heard over the past few months that ChatGPT is actually starting to get a little bit dumber because of where it's pulling some of its information from the prompts that people are giving it.
Hmm.
So I thought that was interesting at least. But aside from that, that's all I have.
That's all I got
All
for
right,
now.
you do your AI research.
I'll look into it. I keep saying that. I'll look into it. I'll look into it more.
Use AI to look into AI. Tell ChatGPT to just give you AI news.
You know what? You know what? No, Google's got new, or not Google. Microsoft has got the new AI Copilot now that I want to explore. I got it on my, I got it on my handheld. I might start trying to use Copilot and see what it gives me and stuff. See where I
All
can
right,
go.
all right. I want full report.
Full report, yes sir.
MLA8 or APA citations will do.
Oh God,
All right, but that's all I've got.
that's all
That's
I've got.
that's the end then. Say bye, Benny.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Ciao.
Yeah.